Hey guys, a big, huge welcome to the Bliss and Thrive podcast. It's your host, Caris Anderson here. And if you like motivating stories of real women, then this one is for you today. I am going to interview Holly, and Holly is a wonderful Australian chick who totally changed her life around from kind of like a lockdown funk to finding her groove again, getting strong, healthy, powerful, and all of that jazz. And it's such a cool conversation. I really hope you enjoy it. Remember to subscribe if you do. But without further ado, let's get chatting to Holly. A big, huge welcome to the show, our lovely Holly Robinson. She has been a member of my programs and is on an incredible journey and now is spreading her wings, and she is off in the gym lifting weights, doing such incredible things. But I wanted to get her on today because she has been so good at inspiring people by sharing her journey. So I think she can inspire you all today. So welcome to the show, Holly.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm bloody stoked to be on here because I listen to your podcast all the time. I love the motivation and all the mindset stuff because I'm all about the personal growth. And even the other day, I listened to your 5 top nutrition tips one. I'm like, I know all this stuff, but then I re-listened to it and I'm like, oh, Holly, have you got a balanced enough meal on your plate there? Oh, you might need a bit more protein. So anyway, thank you for having me on.
Oh, I'm going to use your word. I'm going to be Australian for a second. I'm so stoked as well. And it sounds so funny in a British accent. I have to say as well, Holly is a professional voiceover artist. So if you just hear this like beautiful, balanced voice while we're talking, it's because she actually does this for a living, which I think is so interesting. But I would love it. Let's start back at the beginning. Let's talk a bit about your journey, like where you've been in the past, and just how you've been on a personal growth journey as well, which I think is really interesting. So do you want to like chat a little bit about that? Give us a bit of background.
Yeah, I guess where I've come from in terms of my relationship with food and exercise, I've never really had a problem with exercise. Like I was a very active kid. I did gymnastics and I did dancing and I did netball and all of that kind of stuff. And then I think it was 2014 was when I first went to a gym and fell in love with group fitness classes. I love them so much and I was almost obsessively doing them there for a little while. And then I got into doing circus. So I started doing aerial circus like trapeze, lyra, silks, all that kind of stuff. And that was a completely different kind of training. So my body completely changed. I got strong and I got all of this like bulky muscle that I wasn't used to. And I never had a problem with exercise, but I never knew anything about nutrition. And that was the biggest game changer for me when I came to you. Because it was great to have the structured workouts and everything. And I'm a very kind of organised, nerdy person, so I love to be able to schedule which workout goes where and whatever. But I knew I was going to be able to do the exercise fine, but doing your like nutrition masterclass and actually learning about food for the first time was, I think, what helped just the kilos just started falling off. And I was like, shit, this is actually not that hard. Like I'd always had trouble before. If I wanted to lose a few kilos, I'd be smashing myself in the gym and then not really seeing the results. And that was the difference when I came to you. So, that was massive for me.
Isn't it so funny how like you're obviously like you're such an intelligent person. You love fitness and, but it's so difficult to get your head around the nutrition part of things. It's bizarre.
And you don't know who to trust either. Like there's so much different information out there, so you don't know what sources are reputable, etc. And then you just put it so simply and it was just so easy to follow, and obviously it worked for me. So
yeah, I just think that knowing who to trust, like I'll even have people who kind of come into my world now and I'll start telling them a few things and they'll be like, oh, but so-and-so has told me this, or this trainer has told me this. And I can feel that it is that, like, I don't actually know what route to go down. You know, even with someone put up the other day about doing a plank, that another trainer had told them that doing a plank makes your waist thick. And there's just so much misinformation out there. And, you know, and it's not on the person. Like, how are you supposed to know? Because now we have access to the internet. It's like 10 million experts telling you their opinion.
Yeah, information overload.
Yeah, and we're in the culture of like demonizing certain ways of doing things so that your way seems better. So, for example, don't do the plank because my way's the best, or, you know, don't eat carbs because my way's the best. So I totally understand how it can be confusing, and I'm so happy that like that nutrition part was kind of like the little key that unlocked everything for you.
Yeah, 100%.
So on your journey, what else do you think you've kind of discovered along the way? Obviously the nutrition part, but anything else along the way?
I'd never really done home workouts before. So, and I'd never been on the gym floor. So even though I was going to the gym, I only exclusively did group fitness classes. And so I think what was really interesting for me with starting to do the workouts and then progressing through the boot camps and increasing my weights and then increasing the intensity is I learned to push myself more than I had before. So in group fitness classes, you push yourself to a certain extent, but you're doing it alongside other people, and I guess you can afford to slack off here and there. And of course, doing a home workout would be exactly the same thing because you're by yourself. You're not accountable to anyone. But it was just a different environment that was like, it pushed me to see how far I actually could go and be like, well, you're only versing yourself here, and you just got to be better than what you did yesterday. Oh, I wonder if you upped your weights to 7 kilograms, just like hold out for the first 2 sets and then see how you go. And then I'd be like, no, I reckon I can do the third set with 7s as well. And that was really interesting. And I think that's now led into me finally using the gym floor for the first time now and learning to use all the equipment. And then I'm excited about doing some strength training and seeing what my body can do in that way.
Yeah, I think that's so exciting. Yeah, the group fitness classes are amazing. Like, I used to love like CrossFit and that kind of thing because of you do have that energy from the group. So it's really motivating. And then it's a whole different kettle of fish to motivate yourself at home. Yeah. But I guess what you're saying, like, the good thing is like you can kind of leave your ego behind and just like work on yourself because it's just you. It really is just you that you're in competition with.
Yeah, absolutely. And because I started probably similar to most people, I started on your boot camps in lockdown in Australia. Yeah. So I had definitely let my health slide a little bit there. Lockdown started and the circus, which was where I'd gotten the bulk of my exercise up until that point, that stopped. And then the gyms closed and then we went into lockdown. And my husband and I were going across to the servo every night and getting... for those uninitiated, servo was a service station.
I was like, what is that?
Sorry, it's my Australian colloquialism. We were getting like a block of chocolate and ice cream each and like polishing off a bottle of wine or two a night because there was nothing else to do. And the biggest thing for me is I started to see it affect my mental health. And that's the biggest reason that I think I joined you in the first place. So I started seeing my friend UJ, who you worked with in your dancing days. I started seeing her sharing her workouts on her Instagram stories and tagging you, and I thought, oh, good on you, that's awesome. And it got towards the end of that 6 weeks and she's like, hey, if anyone's interested in doing this along with me, because she did your very first one, let me know. And I was like, yeah, what's it involved? And then talk to you, talk to her, and yeah, because I had definitely seen that slip in my health, my healthy eating and my physical health bleeding into my mental health. And exercise has always been a constant for me in my self-care to keep me at that kind of manageable level with my mental health. So once I started to have that routine back again and started to see results within myself, it made such a huge difference.
How was that manifesting in your mental health? Like when you went into lockdown and you guys, were just, comfort eating and snuggling up on the sofa, and maybe not, your exercise kind of got taken away from you because of the circus. Like, how was that manifesting in your mental health? How did you feel?
It's just like, see, I'm usually an early riser, and when you start just sleeping in and then your general chores start slipping, and because we've got our beautiful golden retriever and we would take her on 2 walks a day, and when that's just getting like so much of a tiresome chore and you just don't have much work to do because there's not as much work to do from home from where I was working at the time, and it's just like, well, what do I do? And you just start to feel lethargic and just kind of generally down. And with that comfort eating and stuff, like, yeah, it's nice in the moment and we'd be watching a movie, eating chocolate, drinking wine, and then the next day we'd be like, we can't do that again tonight. Like, that's just, we know that's not good. And then we'd do it again. And then so you'd feel a sense of disappointment that you've let yourself down again. And it's just kind of this spiral.
I think that so many people can relate to that. Like lockdown or no lockdown, even before lockdown, I'd talk to people who were in that spiral of just like, they're so tired that they get to the end of the day and you've not kept on top of just things like keeping on top of your house and keeping on top of your chores and stuff. It is good for your mental health. And then go into that wine and chocolate and that exact thing of like, it's wrong. But then once again, the next morning you wake up and you're tired again because you've had wine and sugar. And then you get to the end of the day and you just do the same thing again. And with the partner, you're kind of like validating each other, like, oh, we shouldn't, but shall we? And you're in it together, so come on, babe. And you kind of bring each other down. I see that happen so much. I think that like 90% of people listening to this will be like, that's that, I've been there or I am there. I think it's so common.
It's such a common thing. And now that I'm armed with all of that knowledge as well, because it's a constant learning game and getting to know yourself and your own practices that work for you in terms of your self-care. So I know for me that for me to feel good, I like to get up early and I like to tick a bunch of things off in the morning so that I feel accomplished, and then I can, if I then don't get some other stuff done during the day that I'd planned to do, it's not such a big deal. I still got a lot done, especially with my workouts. Like with your boot camp, I would get up and try and do my workout at 5:30 in the morning before work, and that made a big difference to me. I think that people would feel that anywhere.
Yeah, and I think you're right on just saying like what works for you might not work for someone else. Like someone else might feel that that's too much pressure, ticking things off in the morning, and they might need to slow a start to the day, and that's better for their mental health. And it is just what works for you and where you've come from, because maybe someone's got too many things on their plate and they need to take things off. Or like for you, maybe it's like suddenly life got a bit quieter and you need to fill it up with something productive and, like a healthy practice. But do you think that your morning routine is a game changer then? Yeah,
for sure. And even the last couple of weeks, I've noticed, because we moved house at the end of last year, so I'm not in the job that I was in when I started with you, but I'm in a new job where I'm mainly working nights. And so I've found that, sometimes I like to sleep in a bit more to try and catch up on some of that sleep, but I'm still kicking myself for it a little bit. And I think I'm in that stage of trying to focus my mindset to be like, well, no, you're working later, you're not getting to bed as early. It's fair enough that you're not going to be getting up as early as you used to. But I also know that I can fall back into that if I want to. Like, I'm armed with the knowledge of nutrition so that if I not the term fall off the wagon, but if I start to know that I'm not eating as healthy as I could, I know that within myself. I'm not going to go into denial and just keep doing it, especially if I start to feel like shit. I'm going to be like, well, okay, it's time to keep myself up the bum and go back to, let's look at some of Karis's recipes, and I'll start making some of those dinners and mapping out like what I'm going to have during the day. And it's the same thing with having a morning routine. Maybe I could at least try for 1 or 2 days a week where I'm like, okay, I want to get up early this day and do a workout because I know that's going to help me feel better during the rest of the week, because I like to get up early and do that.
Yeah, but I think it's like knowing when to be flexible as well. And I think you're right, like having that initial success from doing something in a rigid way and knowing that it works. And now, as you said, you're like armed with that knowledge, got your toolbox, and now you can be flexible. Like your job's changed, so your morning routine has to change. But it's not like spiraling into that panic of like, oh no, I'm losing grip on everything, and everything might slip again. It's like, no, I know that whatever life throws at me now, I can fit. Even if you do your morning routine of ticking things off your list and doing a workout, but it's at 11 o'clock in the morning rather than 7 o'clock in the morning, it's still a routine.
Yeah, I still have to be like structured. Well, I don't have to be, but like I know that that's what makes me feel good, to be structured. But like you said, I can be like, okay, now I'm going to give myself the leeway to sleep in until 7:30 this morning, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to have a workout, and then I'm going to do that. So yeah,
that's not a lay-in. 7:30.
It is for me.
You crazy. That's a lay-in for me because I have a toddler. But pre-kids, a lay-in's like 10 o'clock. Oh,
yeah,
a lay-in till 10. How lovely.
I don't know what I'm going to do when I have kids.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You're already in the rhythm.
Yeah,
you'll
maybe.
be like up and great. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a great point. Like just when you have that initial success, then you can have that flexibility and you can always bring it back because you know. And I think what's really interesting chatting to you now, like you really know yourself so well and you're not doing anyone else's journey. You're doing your journey.
Yeah.
Like you're doing exactly what works for you. And I think that's so important. Like if someone's listening to this and thinking, well, I'm going to do what Holly does. She gets up in the morning, she does this, she does that. That might not work for you. And I think that's like super important to remember.
Absolutely, yeah. And I know, like, I would be in contact with UJ a lot because UJ is also in Australia, and most of the other Sweat It ladies were over in the UK or in Spain or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's that time difference. And so when I'd be chatting to UJ about stuff, like she would work out in the afternoon, and I always did it in the mornings, and that was what worked for her, and that's, you know, fit into her schedule. It's completely up to the individual, as long as you set it for yourself.
Yeah, and doing it for the right reason. So like not working out in the afternoon because you can't get your ass off the couch and you're like, I will work out, come on, work out.
Yeah.
But working out in the afternoon because that's when your energy feels best and that's when you have time in your schedule. I think that's so important. So tell me a bit now, like how are you training now? I'm really excited for you. What are you doing?
I'm actually running for the first time in my life, which is
Whoa.
very strange for me. Like, I've never been a runner. I've never enjoyed it. My husband is. He is actually going to be doing an ultra marathon next month, which is 100 kilometres through the bush. Craziness. But I'm finding now with my routine, like, it's pretty jam-packed because I'll do voiceover stuff during the day and then I might go to my other job at night. So I've got a lot of things to fit into my day, and so I'll find, well, if I want to get a workout in today or at least do something active, I'll just take the dog for a run instead of a walk, because that's the way that I fit it in. Yeah. I haven't done many strength workouts yet. It's just such a different way of training. So I'm really intrigued to see how I go with it.
I think you're going to be great.
I reckon I'm going to come back to you for Sweat It 4 at some stage.
Sweat It 4.0 is, so I'm like filming it as we go and I'm aching like a mother. Yesterday was a ballet fit workout.
Oh, cool.
And my body was like, whoa, girl, it's been a while since you've done ballet. So yeah, it's fun. Lots of fun things in there.
Yeah.
So Holly, if someone was at the point where you were at before you started your journey, you know, and this is not about promoting Sweat It or anything. This is about just inspiring people to get moving and, you know, just improve their health, improve their mental health. So if someone is listening to this and they're sitting there going, oh yeah, maybe maybe I need to kick up the arse, maybe I need to sort something out, I'm not feeling great, what would be your advice to them?
I'm a massive advocate for self-care, and particularly mental self-care. Like, I work in the mental health space as well, and I think it's so important to figure out exactly what works for you, as we were talking about before. And it's been proven, like, if you're eating healthy and you've got some exercise and you're being active, that is going to be reflected in the way that you feel, like 100%. And if you think about evolutionarily speaking, we're leading such sedentary lifestyles nowadays. You've got technology that does everything for you, and our bodies weren't built for that. And so you got to try and get that activity back into our life, and that's going to be reflected in your mental health and the way that you feel in your body and in your brain. So I think if you just need that little bit of a kick up the arse, just start taking small steps if you need to. Or what I did is because I was ready to jump in, I guess, and I've got that kind of a personality that when I signed up to Sweat It, and you get this kind of starter pack, and it's just my personality that I threw myself into that. When I was meant to be working from home and doing my job, I was studying and I was planning out my workouts, and I was, you know, looking into more nutrition stuff, and I just threw myself into that. And I only did that hardcore for like a week or two. And then it starts to become a habit, and you can build it into your lifestyle to the point where now, like, I used MyFitnessPal for ages with you and learned and was like, shit, that's how much is in a bar of chocolate or in blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
And it just opens your eyes to what you're actually consuming and putting into your body. And then you can't unlearn that. And so now I know that. So I don't need to go into MyFitnessPal. Yeah. Although I can still use it as a tool, I don't need to go back into that, and I don't need to plan my days so hardcore and keep on studying. Like, that knowledge is in there. So just keep that in mind if you're struggling to get started. Like, it's going to get easier.
Yeah, I love that. I literally feel like I can be like, job done, because you've just said everything I want every client of mine to say. Like, okay, that first week, it's a learning curve. And you can either go all in like Holly's done, or you can, take a bit more time to learn it over time and build up things over time. But once you know this stuff, you just know it, because we're so disconnected now from how much food we should be eating, and what is a healthy diet and what is a balanced diet. And, we're so disconnected. We have no idea anymore. So something like MyFitnessPal, although you might be thinking, oh, that will disconnect us more from food, adding technology in, what about how I feel? We do actually need to know that knowledge, just like anything, because we don't have it naturally. It's not like we are looking at the other people in our, I always use really random analogies, here one comes, looking at other people in our village and seeing what they eat for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and that's how we learn what to eat. We don't have that anymore. We have advertising for things. We have chocolate as you pay for your petrol or your gas. There's all chocolate and candy there that you want to grab. And it's set up for us to overeat. The world is set up for us to overeat. So we have to reteach ourselves. And I think using a tool like MyFitnessPal, learning the basics of nutrition about what a calorie is, what macros are, I think that it's just arming us with knowledge. And as you said, that once you've got that knowledge, then you can live your life. Yeah. And you don't even realise that you're just infiltrating it every day.
Absolutely.
You don't even think about it.
And I think it's interesting with something like MyFitnessPal and learning how many calories are in different foods and what different foods contain in terms of your macronutrients, micronutrients, etc. Is that I put off learning that stuff, or I wasn't interested in learning that stuff, because I've never been overweight. I've never been super unhealthy. Like, when I joined you, it wasn't about losing a whole heap of kilos. No. I was like, I can afford to lose a few kilos, but the main thing is I need to get my life back on track. But because I wasn't super heavy or anything, I guess it was like, oh, you don't need to count calories because you're not fat. Like, you don't need to lose weight. And so I was like, oh, well, if I'm counting calories, then that might be seen as an unhealthy relationship with food, like, because I don't need to do that. But it's not about that. It's about becoming a detective. I'm going to use one of your terms, becoming a detective, and just learning, because when you're armed with knowledge, then you can make the decisions that you need to make off the back of that.
I think there's something definitely to be said that for some personalities, calorie counting can become obsessive. And that's never where I want to get anyone to. It's not about being obsessive about the numbers. That's a phrase I always use. It's about becoming a detective. It's about learning. Let's learn. It's not about you have to hit these calories or else. It's just about like, okay, why have you maybe gained weight over the years? And it might be through this, through this, through this. Then that app is coupled with talking about your emotions around food, talking about your habits, being mindful about eating. It's not all about the calories. It's a tool in there, and it's always, you don't have to use it as well. Like, I think it's that. I saw someone put up, there's a lot of things up at the moment about toxic diet culture. And I think diet culture is massively toxic. It really is. But I don't think it's black and white. Because she put up something about, if your trainer talks about calories and macros, then you know that it's toxic diet culture. And it hurts me, because I'm like, if we all just had knowledge about what was in food, then we might be able to make more informed decisions about what to pick. And it couples with becoming intuitive and in tune with your body, and when I feel full, and what foods are trigger foods for me, and making sure I enjoy food as food and not as a number. Like, I think there needs to be a balance. It's not black or white, like either you're diet culture or not diet culture. I think it's like, well, let's just learn about stuff and be intuitive and like blend different techniques and stuff. And I think that chatting to you, I think you've done that so well. Like, you learned everything, you worked on your mindset, your personal development, you got your routines back, you started to get that buzz from the strength of your body, which is like, as you say, it's not about dropping kilos. Like, having that buzz from like, I can do 5 freaking push-ups on my toes and I feel amazing. Like, that's worth any amount of kilos. I love that.
I've got a friend who has a saying. She says, and this is to do with, physical self-care and mental self-care. She says, when I'm physically strong, I think strong thoughts. Yes. And I think that's such a good quote to kind of encompass all of that.
Yeah, you can't have a weak mindset when you're training your body to be strong. You actually can't. And vice versa as well. And I think that, it's a whole 360 journey. And that's the thing, people might start the journey thinking, I need to lose a couple of kilos. But along the way, they figure out, actually, there's loads more to the journey, and your life starts to change or gets back on track or opens up to new possibilities. And just like you and your husband are having that common interest in like running, and he's going to write you a strength program for the gym. Like, how cool is that? You've gone from like two little couch potatoes in lockdown to now like running ultra marathons and doing all this stuff together.
Yeah.
Like,
I've got him into yoga too.
Yay!
So it goes both ways.
Oh my God. I took my husband to a yoga class once, and he is the stiffest individual you'll ever see. And it was the funniest thing. We only got to do it once and then never again.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But Holly, it's been so lovely chatting to you today. Thank you for coming on. You're just such a little ray of sunshine.
Oh, thanks. I'm so glad. And I hope, I get so much inspiration from the people that you have on, and I hope I can kind of impart at least some value to your listeners, because I get so much value out of you and your podcast. So thank you so much. And thank you for the last, I think I did at least 6 months worth of your boot camps, and it did change everything for me. So I can't thank you enough.
I loved having you on. And I love that you're on your journey, and I'll keep following you, see where you're at. Okay, my lovely. If people just want to catch you on social media, because I know you do these little like chat natural things that you do in your stories, and I think they're really interesting. What's your social media handle, so if anyone can just reach out to you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at holly.robbo, and that's my main one that I like to use. I think Instagram's a lot of fun, so find me there, slide into my DMs, go for it.
There you go, guys. You've got permission to slide into Holly's DMs. No dick pics, though, please.
No, please, no dick pics, please.
All right, my love. I'll catch you later. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yay! I really hope you enjoyed that episode, guys. You know I love my good girly chats, and I love a good transformation story. And I think it's really important to know that transformations are not always happening in the progress pictures. I mean, Holly has incredible progress pictures as well, but transformations are happening inside and 360 in your life. Like everything starts to transform when your health and fitness and mindset get into line. So I hope that this motivated you today. You can always reach out to me in the comments or email me or DM me, and I'll leave all the links in the description as well. Have a blooming wonderful day, guys, and I will see you in the next episode.